Guys, real quick, I maxed out all the cities on the new skate game before it actually dropped. So if you end up getting it on September 16th when it drops, you can add me. That's my username. But ever since the UFC signed that $7.7 billion deal with Paramount, people have been talking about raising fighter pay. And when are you going to start paying these guys who got you that $7 billion deal in the first place? And thankfully, Dana White has announced that fighter pay will go up in the millions across the entire roster. Now, just because I said the word millions doesn't mean if you get Fight of the Night honors, you're getting a fat $1 million bonus check. It means that instead of a $50,000 bonus, you'll probably get like a $70,000 or $80,000 bonus. And I know, you just said Dana White said it's going up in the millions. Well, if you multiply 50,000 by however many UFC events there are throughout the year, that's basically around $2 million right there. So when Dana White says it's going to increase by the millions, he's talking about the money that's divided between everybody. I know all the UFC fighters watching this are like, son of a bitch! What? But regardless, any pay increase for what these guys get paid to do is a good thing. I mean, you can literally have your face broken in the early prelims and only go home with $10K and a broken face that will cost you more than $10K to fix. And no, the UFC does not provide standard health insurance, so after they give you that ice pack, it's up to you to make sure that your bones heal properly. Or not, I see some fighters rocking the broken nose every now and then. But also, $10,000 isn't a small amount. It's not as much as what the stars are getting paid, but unless you lose 3 fights in a row, you're making at least 40 to 70K a year, plus whatever incentives you get, like sponsorships and or a fight bonus. But would you believe that even after getting more than $45,000 for a fight that happened no more than 5 months ago, the fighter in question only has $13 left in his bank account? So if you actually watch the UFC outside of the big events, then you probably know about SD Dumas. He's a middleweight with a record of 10-3, with a record of 3-3 in the UFC. And over his career, according to multiple articles, over the past 2.5 years, he has made $90,000 to $100,000. Maybe a little more because 2 of the fights I looked up, it only said what he got paid to show up and didn't say what he got paid after he won. But over $100,000 in just over 2 years isn't bad for someone who really just has to train and fight. There's no need to buy all this fancy stuff and flex because you're in the UFC. When you show that you're able to keep a winning streak going that's longer than 2 fights, then maybe you can start showing off. But sometimes it's not even them showing off that gets them. It's just who they are as a person. And SD, short for suck d***, has been in and out of jail since he was 20 years old, having been arrested 12 times. With the most recent arrest happening just 18 days after his fight at UFC 314. UFC middleweight Cedricus Dumas, that's funny, they spelled suck wrong, was arrested and charged with multiple felonies, including battery and robbery on Monday in Florida. Dumas, 29, was booked into Escambia County Jail on Monday and is being held on a $558,500 bond. Online records show Dumas has been charged with home invasion robbery, battery, possession of a weapon or ammo by a convicted felon, and drug possession. It's almost like this guy doesn't fight for the UFC. And what's really dumb is that he didn't even have a loaded gun. This means that this dumbass either had just the bullets or an unloaded gun with him, again, as if he couldn't fight his way out of a confrontation. Oh, but what if the other guy had a gun? What are you doing that even needs a gun to be involved in the first place? You're a professional fighter, stay in the fucking gym, dog. Now, I looked it up, and you typically have to pay 10% of what your bond is to get out, and even then, 10% of 500 whatever is $55,850. That's potentially more than what he's won in the last 2.5 years. And he needs to keep training, so he's not just gonna stay in jail until his trial. And that was just his most recent arrest. He's been getting arrested while being a fighter, like that's something Dana White finds impressive. He's like, forget the skills, this guy's been in jail more times than he's actually won a fight. Let's get him on the roster, guys. Let's get him on Dana White. We're gonna get him on roster. And I'm not joking about that either. Like I said, he's won 10 fights in total, and he's been arrested 12 times. Not the best ratio out there, but it's a ratio. And because SD isn't popular by any means, spending that much money on yourself so you can stay out of jail, just so you can get more money to bail yourself out of jail again like some kind of twisted cycle, is going to backfire sooner or later. And in a now deleted tweet, SD posted this picture showing he has $13 in his bank account and says, "This is the price of being an adult and paying legal actions and stuff in your life. I hate to hear people say people don't struggle at a big scene. Yeah, all y'all can fucking laugh about it. I'm just giving y'all something to laugh about. What the fuck did I just read? You guys ever see that episode of King of the Hill where Hank has to read the paper that football player wrote, and it's the dumbest thing he's ever read?
Okay, Strickland Propene does not have a vending machine. It smells, and I thank God every day I get home that I didn't get exploded. The end.
That's how I felt reading this. Like, what the hell does he mean? I hate to hear people say they don't struggle at a big scene. You're the only one who is making yourself struggle. Struggling is having $13 in your bank account because you aren't getting paid enough. Not because you have to spend all your money to make sure you stay out of jail. Like, without any context to this, you'd be like, Dana needs to pay these guys more, which he's going to do, like I said. But this guy got paid enough and then realized that he doesn't get to keep any of it. Also, something funny that someone pointed out is he has this Wells Fargo premium account, which you're like, all right, it's a bank account, big deal. Well, apparently just to have a Wells Fargo premium account, it costs $35 a month, and the only way you can avoid that fee is if you have a minimum of $250,000 in your bank account. So even if he wins his next fight, which is this Saturday, but even if he wins and gets the fight of the night bonus, he will still not even have enough to cover the $35 monthly charge. One big reason is that because he's still being listed as a prelim fighter who gets significantly less than a main card fighter. Like, if he loses, this might be his last fight in the UFC, and even if he wins, he would have to win by knockout or in the first round, because if this goes the distance and he loses, and even if he wins, then he better pray that he gets the fight of the night bonus, because it will be his first and his last. Now, there was this other fighter you guys might have heard about. His name is Charles Johnson, and he apparently had to borrow money from his manager leading up to his fight in China because his bank account was in the red. Now, this wasn't because he's a dirty, no-good, rotten criminal, but I'm assuming because of poor money management. Because he's 7-5 in the UFC. Not a great record, but he had a 4-fight win streak with 2 of those fights getting fight of the night and performance of the night bonus honors. So just in those 2 fights alone, the bonuses he got were more than all of what SD has won in all his fights so far. And that's just the bonuses. This guy must have been spending money like he was the undisputed champ. Like, those bonuses came 4 months apart. $100,000 in 4 months and your bank account is already in the red? It's crazy to think that I have more money than some of these UFC fighters. Yeah guys, there's UFC on Saturday, so no video then, but from there until now, until tomorrow. Peace. I couldn't do the middle finger, what the hell?